Hello, everyone, and welcome back into MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Wild Things get the win in Game 1 of the doubleheader, now getting ready for Game 2 of the doubleheader between your Washington Wild Things and the Gateway Grizzlies. You're listening to the Washington Wild Things pregame show. Wild Things, the 5-1 win in Game 1 of this doubleheader, looking to sweep the doubleheader now against the Gateway Grizzlies here in Game 2. Going to have a recap of Game 1 for you. Also, a quick sit-down with Jamal Austin in between games. Austin 2 for 4 in that first game. 2 RBIs, your Wild Things star of the game in Game 1 of the doubleheader, so we'll hear from him. Also going to take a look at lineups and first pitch here in Game 2 of this doubleheader, set to go at about 8:07 p.m. here from Consol Energy Park. Excuse me. In Game 1, as we said, the Wild Things got the 5-1 victory. Early on, both pitchers really pitching very well, as Trevor Foss and Vince Molesky both get complete games for the Wild Things and the Grizzlies. For Trevor Foss, started things off in the top of the first. Cody Livesey singled off him, and then he got a 6-4-3 double play to get out of that and struck out Craig Masoni to end the first inning. For Vince Molesky, a 1-2-3 inning for him. Got Jamal Austin to strike out, Ricky Rodriguez grounded out, and Brian Haar grounded out to end the first. In the second inning, Foss would set the Grizzlies down 1-2-3, as would Vince Molesky, but the Wild Things would break through in the bottom of inning number 3. Logan Uxa would single to start things, then Kyle Pollock struck out, and Austin Wobrock doubled, so there were runners at second and third with one away before Jamal Austin hit a 2 RBI single, scoring both Uxa and Wobrock, giving your Wild Things a 2-0 lead. Jamal Austin would be caught in a rundown between first and second and would be thrown out for the second out of the inning before Ricky Rodriguez would strike out to end that third inning. Then in the top of the fourth, the Gateway Grizzlies responded as Cody Livesey and Seth Heck each grounded out to start the inning. Then Craig Masoni would double, and Brandon Thomas would drive him in with an RBI single. It was Thomas's 20th RBI of the year, and that made the score 2-1. Tyler Toole followed that up with a single of his own, so our runners at first and third with 2 away before Blake Brown grounded out to end that fourth inning. Wild Things would respond in the bottom of the fourth inning as Brian Haar struck out to start things. Then Dave Popkins would double. Nick Ferdinand would single to put runners at second and third, nobody out. Then Jimmy Yezzo, a soft ground ball to first base, and Craig Masoni overshot the second base bag, and that allowed Dave Popkins to score and gave the Wild Things a 3-1 lead as Yezzo reached on an error. There were still runners at first and third before Logan Uxa walked to load the bases with just 1 away. Then Kyle Pollock, a sacrifice fly, scored Nick Ferdinand and gave your Wild Things a 4-1 lead before Austin Wobrock would ground out to end the fourth inning. That was 4-1 Wild Things by the end of the fourth inning. Then in the bottom of the fifth, Wild Things responding again. Jamal Austin singled to start things, his second hit of the day. Ricky Rodriguez would reach on an error, and then Brian Haar would hit a sacrifice fly, scoring Jamal Austin and giving the Wild Things a 5-1 lead with 2 outs in the fifth. Rodriguez was thrown out trying to go to second base after reaching on his error for the first out of the inning. Then Dave Popkins would double, and Nick Ferdinand flew out to end the inning with the Wild Things leading 5-1. The Gateway Grizzlies tried to come back in the sixth, 1-2-3, as Trevor Foss struck out the side against the Grizzlies in the sixth. And then in the top of the seventh, he got Tyler Toole to ground out. A nice play by Logan Uxa as he made a diving stop on the ball and flipped to Foss covering. Then Blake Brown walked, and Ben Waldrop hit into a 6-3 double play that would end the game and give the Wild Things a 5-1 win. The Wild Things improved to 21-18 on the season. The Gateway Grizzlies fell to 19-21. Getting ready for Game 2 of this 3-game series. Going to take our first break here on the Washington Wild Things pregame show, and when we come back, we're going to have our sit-down with Jamal Austin. Keep it right here on the MSA Sports Network, as we'll be right back getting you ready for Game 2 of this doubleheader between your Washington Wild Things and the Gateway Grizzlies, right here on the MSA Sports Network.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple: with expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network. You're listening to the Washington Wild Things pregame show, getting you ready for Game 2 of this doubleheader. Currently joined by Jamal Austin. Jamal, in Game 1, 2 hits, and you drove in 2 RBIs. What did it feel like coming back out after being out a couple games with your injury?
It just felt good to be back with the guys, and it felt good to be able to, put myself in a position to get a hit, and my guys helped me put me in a position to get that hit. So it felt good to be back.
And you made a really nice diving catch in the second inning, I believe, robbing Brandon Thomas of a base hit. Talk about the thought process as that ball's in the air and you're running after it.
It was tough to judge at first, and finally I picked it up, and I had to dive for it. So, it was a good play.
And you're coming up with that 2 RBI single. You have 2 men on. What's your approach in that at-bat?
I figured with 2 men on, he would probably throw me an off speed, and it happened to be inside curveball, so it was right there, and I was looking for it. So it was a good swing.
Trevor Foss on the mound gets his 6th complete game of the season. What's it like when he's on the mound? You know he's going to pitch well. He's going to put you in a position to win. What are your thoughts as a fielder when he's on the mound?
I just know it's going to be a good pitching game, and I know I'm probably not going to see too many balls in the outfield, so I just got to be ready. And he's been on fire, so he just has to keep it up.
Thanks, Jamal. Good luck today.
No problem. Thanks.
We'll be right back here on the MSA Sports Network.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, getting you ready for Game 2 of this 3-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Gateway Grizzlies. Game 2 of the doubleheader. Wild Things getting the win in the first game of the doubleheader, winning by a score of 5-1. Trevor Foss, his 6th complete game of the season. The record in the season is 9 complete games, as Trevor Foss shooting for that record. Have a couple of news notes around the Frontier League, as 2 Frontier League stars were picked up by major league clubs. First, Boo Vasquez from the Joliet Slammers got picked up by the Kansas City Royals. Boo Vasquez was leading the Frontier League in home runs with 11 and led the Joliet Slammers in average. Also, Nick King had his contract purchased by the Pittsburgh Pirates. King from the Schaumburg Boomers. Wild Things just saw Nick King, a shortstop. Didn't play in many games with the Schaumburg Boomers, but he earned a trip to minor league baseball as the Pittsburgh Pirates picking up Nick King and the Kansas City Royals picking up Ben Waldrop. Lineup cards being exchanged at home plate. So while they do that, we're going to go over the lineups as well for you at home. First, for the Gateway Grizzlies, they enter this game with a record of 19-21 after the 5-1 loss in Game 1. They'll lead off with their left fielder, Cody Livesey. Batting second at second base will be Seth Heck. Batting third, the designated hitter in this one is Craig Massoni. Batting fourth and playing in center field, Brandon Thomas. Hitting fifth and playing in right field, Blake Brown. Batting sixth, the first baseman, Ben Waldrop. Batting seventh and playing at third base, John Bunselmeyer. Batting eighth and catching is Jason Skoll. And rounding out the lineup and playing at shortstop is Logan Davis. On the mound here in Game 2 of this doubleheader is Dakota Smith, as Dakota Smith enters this one with a record of 1-1 and a 2.88 ERA. Your Wild Things line up like this. They'll lead off with their center fielder, Andrew Heck. Batting second, the designated hitter, Ricky Rodriguez. Hitting third and playing at second base, Brian Haar. Batting fourth in right field, Dave Popkins. Hitting fifth in left field, Nick Ferdinand. Batting sixth at first base, Logan Uxa. Batting seventh at third base, Grant Fink. Hitting eighth behind the plate, Alex McKeon. And batting ninth at shortstop is Austin Wobrock. On the mound for your Wild Things is starting pitcher Chase Cunningham. Cunningham a record of 2-4 and a 3.07 ERA. Just about ready for first pitch here in Game 2 of this doubleheader between your Wild Things and the Gateway Grizzlies. Wild Things taking the field now as we prepare for baseball here in Game 2. Wild Things defensively will line up like this. In the outfield left to right, it's Ferdinand, Heck, and Popkins. Left side of the infield held down by Fink and Wobrock. Right side by Haar and Uxum. Behind the plate, Alex McKeon catching Game 2 starter Chase Cunningham. Cunningham enters this game with a record of 2-4, a 3.07 ERA, making his 8th start of the season, appearing in his 8th game. Has thrown 41 innings of work, giving up 15 runs, 14 earned on 39 hits, 10 walks, and 18 strikeouts for the right-hander. One more look at the Gateway Grizzlies lineup, as we just gave you the lineup, but here it is again. They'll lead off with the left fielder, Cody Livesey. Batting second at second base, Seth Heck. Batting third, designated hitter, Craig Masoni. Hitting fourth in center field, Brandon Thomas. Hitting fifth in right, Blake Brown. Batting sixth and playing at first base, Ben Waldrop. Batting seventh at third base, John Bunselmeyer. Batting eighth behind the plate, John Skoll. And batting ninth at shortstop is Logan Davis. On the mound for the Gateway Grizzlies will be Dakota Smith. Smith coming into this game with a record of 1-1 and a 2.88 ERA. Wild Things get the win in Game 1 of this doubleheader, looking for a sweep of the doubleheader here in Game 2. Remember, only 7-inning contests. Wild Things improved to 21-18 after getting that win in Game 1. As Chase Cunningham throwing his warm-up tosses and getting you ready for Game 2 of this doubleheader. Warm-up tosses are complete, and Cody Livesey making his way to the plate. Livesey entered today hitting 298 with no home runs and 11 RBIs. That's what he entered before Game 1. As he steps into leadoff Game 2, still sunny skies here from Consol Energy Park. Wild Things still in their white home jerseys with the white pants, and the Gateway Grizzlies again wearing their gray jerseys with the gray pants. Livesey making his way to the plate, and we are ready for baseball here in Game 2 of this doubleheader. Cunningham set. Here's the first pitch, and that one's low in the dirt for a ball. 1 ball and no strikes. First pitch in Game 2 thrown at 8:13 p.m. Eastern Time, and the temperature gone down a little bit, 72 degrees. First pitch time and temperature brought to you by State Line Grocery and Hotspot. That next pitch in there on the outside corner for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Trevor Foss picking up his 6th complete game of the season. In Game 1, Cunningham looking to duplicate that effort here in Game 2. Next pitch is high for a ball, and the count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike on Cody Livesey. For Cunningham, enters with a 2-4 record. He's set. Here's the 2-1. This one grounded towards short. Wobrock, a sliding stop, and he bobbles it, and will go into center field for a base hit. So just as Livesey did in Game 1, he starts Game 2 of this doubleheader out with a single. The umpires are the same for this game as we have Robert Howard behind the plate and Mike Martin on the base paths. As Seth Heck stepping in now. Heck entered today, hitting .256, a homer and 14 RBIs. Cody Livesey standing on first. Cunningham has his sign. Throw over there, and Livesey gets back in. Livesey started the game with a single, just as he did in Game 1 of this doubleheader. The Wild Things winning Game 1 by a score of 5-1. Another throw over by Cunningham, and Livesey back in once again. No count yet to Seth Heck. It's Cody Livesey, no stolen bases in the first game of this doubleheader. Next pitch is on the inside corner for a strike, and the count goes even at 2-2, or at 1-0, or 0-1, excuse me. No balls and a strike on Seth Heck. Nobody out here in the top of the first. Leadoff man reached as Cody Livesey singled. As down the left field line, I think a gate blew open as one of the Gateway Grizzlies bullpen guys is going to work on that. And it's all fixed now, so Cunningham stepping back on the mound. No balls and a strike. The count to Seth Heck. Cunningham has his sign. He's set. Throw over to first, and Livesey back. So 3 throwovers to first base during this at-bat. Only 1 pitch has come to Seth Heck. For Livesey over there, 7 stolen bases in 38 games played now. Here's the pitch, and this one's on the inside corner as well for a strike. No balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count on Seth Heck. Played second base in Game 1 of this doubleheader. Back out there in Game 2 And Cunningham ahead, no balls and 2 strikes. Cunningham looks in, has his sign, he's set, and the 0-2 pitch. And Heck takes this one outside for a ball, 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count here on Seth Heck. Game 2 of this doubleheader, top of the first, no score. Cunningham has his sign, checks first, here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss, and Cunningham strikes him out. And that's out number 1 here in the top of the first. First strikeout of the day for Chase Cunningham, and that'll bring up the designated hitter, Craig Masoni. Masoni entered today hitting .297 with 6 home runs and 20 RBIs. Chase Cunningham gets the first out of the inning via the strikeout after allowing the base hit. And for Cunningham, 18 strikeouts to 10 walks on the season so far. As he's not a big strikeout guy, likes to pitch to contact, as most of these Wild Things starters do. Another throw over to first, and Livesey just getting back in there. A couple of quick moves by Chase Cunningham, keeping a real big eye on Cody Livesey. Trevor Foss in game 1 after Livesey singled got a 3-pitch double play. Here's the pitch. Livesey takes off for second. This one grounded towards third. Fink charging, has it. Throw to first is in time for out number 2. 5-3 on the putout. Livesey moving up to second on the ground ball. So runner at second and 2 men out here in the top of the first, and that will bring up the center fielder, Brandon Thomas. Thomas entered today hitting .285, 6 home runs, and 19 RBIs. 2 outs here in the top of the first, game 2 of this doubleheader, as there's no score between your Washington Wild Things and the Gateway Grizzlies. Wild Things winning game 1 by the score of 5-1. Cunningham looking in, has his sign, checks second, and the pitch. And this one's fouled off back to the screen. Count goes to 0-1. No balls and a strike on Brandon Thomas, also the cleanup hitter in game 1 of this doubleheader. Most of the fans staying here, still more than halfway full at Consol Energy Park on this Wednesday night. Cunningham has his sign. He's set. Checks second, the 0-1. And that one's in the dirt, blocked by McKeon behind the plate. Count goes to 1 ball, 1 strike. Alex McKeon getting the start behind home plate here in game 2, since Kyle Pollock caught game 1 of this doubleheader. Cunningham looking in, has his sign. He's set. Checks second. Here's the 1-1. And that one's a called strike on the outside corner. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Cunningham ahead of Brandon Thomas here, 1-2. Really, the only position change for the Gateway Grizzlies is Craig Masoni comes in at DH and Ben Waldrop goes to first base. Here's the 1-2, and a swing and a miss at the ball in the dirt. McKeon can't find it, now gets it, throws to first, and it's not in time, so a strikeout, but Alex McKeon not able to find the ball, and Brandon Thomas reaches on the pass ball. Runners are at first and third with 2 outs. Second strikeout of the day for Chase Cunningham, and that'll bring up the right fielder, Blake Brown. Brown entered today hitting .234, 8 home runs, and 28 RBIs out in right field once again for the Gateway Grizzlies. Runners at first and third, and 2 men out. Game 2 of this doubleheader. Cody Livesey stands on third, and Brandon Thomas at first. Cunningham has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And this one's fouled back to the screen. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Livesey stands at third. He singled to lead things off, and then Brandon Thomas struck out but reached first on the passed ball. No balls and a strike, 2 outs here in the top of the first. No score between the Gateway Grizzlies and your Washington Wild Things. Cunningham has his sign. He's set. Here's the 0-1. And Thomas, a ground ball towards short. Wolbrock gets it, flips to second the short way, and that is out number 3. Fielder's choice, 6-4 on the putout. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 2 men left on base. And after a half inning, the score, Gateway nothing. Your Washington Wild Things coming to bat. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
It's time to start thinking about the 2016 MSA Sports Kennywood All-Star Preseason Football Team. Make sure that your team's most outstanding players from last season are part of this year's ballot. Nominate them. All players who were active on the WPIAL District 7 and District 8 team rosters during the 2015-2016 seasons are eligible. In addition to nominating members of the offensive and defensive teams, we are also requesting nominations for our second annual Perseverance and Courage Award. For more information, visit www.msasports.net.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Game 2 of the doubleheader between your Washington Wild Things and the Gateway Grizzlies. In the bottom of the first, the Grizzlies take the field like this. They'll line up outfield left to right is Livesey, Thomas, and Brown. Left side of the infield held down by Bunselmeyer and Davis. Right side by Heck and, Waldrop. And behind the plate is Jason Skoll catching starting pitcher Dakota Smith. Dakota Smith enters this game with a record of 1-1, a 2.88 ERA. Is flowing in his 8th game, making his 3rd start of the season. Has thrown 25 innings of work, giving up 8 runs, all earned on 19 hits, 25 strikeouts to 6 walks for the right-hander Dakota Smith. The lineup he'll face looks like this. The Wild Things lead off with their center fielder Andrew Heck. Batting second, the designated hitter Ricky Rodriguez. Hitting third at second, Brian Haar. Batting fourth in right field, Dave Popkins. Hitting fifth and left, Nick Ferdinand. Batting sixth at first base, Logan Uxa. Batting seventh at third base, Grant Fink. Hitting eighth behind the plate, Alex McKeon. And batting ninth at shortstop is Austin Wobrock. Andrew Heck stepping in to lead things off. Heck enters the day, 263, no home runs, and 8 RBIs. Jamal Austin started the game in center field in Game 1. Andrew Heck getting the start out there here in Game 2 against Dakota Smith. Smith looking in, has his sign. Here's the first pitch. Heck bunting, but he pulls back and takes a strike. No balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count, no outs, bottom of the first. Gateway could not get on the board in the top of inning number 1 here in Game 2 of this doubleheader. Smith set, here's the 0-1. And this one's on the inside corner for a strike as well. Smith goes ahead, no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count on Andrew Heck. Heck making the start in center field. Started all 3 games in center field against the Schaumburg Boomers. Dakota Smith setting the 0-2 pitch. And a swing and a miss by Heck. He strikes out. And that's out number 1 here in the bottom of the first. A strikeout for Dakota Smith. And that brings up the designated hitter, Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez entered the day hitting .286, 4 home runs, and 13 RBIs. Played at third base in Game 1 of this doubleheader. Out there as the DH here in Game 2. Dakota Smith looking in, has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Rodriguez takes a strike at the knees. No balls and a strike. Dakota Smith primarily out of the bullpen for the Gateway Grizzlies this year. This only his 3rd start of the season. Smith set. Here's the 0-1. And Rodriguez takes way inside for a ball. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count on Rodriguez. Stepping in there in the DH role. Still in that number 2 hole. Smith set in the 1-1. And Rodriguez fouls this one off to the right, and the count goes to 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes on the Wild Things DH. We've seen Ricky Rodriguez in that number 2 hole for most of the season. He's really found a home in that spot in the lineup. Smith looking in, has his sign. Here's the 1-2 pitch. And Rodriguez takes this one in the dirt. Count goes even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count on Ricky Rodriguez, second hitter in this Wild Things lineup. Wild Things lineup, couple changes in it. Andrew Heck in center, Grant Fink at third, and Alex McKeon behind the plate. Here's the 2-2. And Rodriguez takes high. Count goes full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 on the Wild Things DH. Game 2 of the doubleheader. Wild Things winning Game 1 by the score of 5-1. Looking to sweep the doubleheader here in Game 2. Smith setting the 3-2 pitch. And a swing and a miss. Ricky Rodriguez strikes out. The second strikeout for Dakota Smith as he strikes out the first 2 Wild Things he sees. And that'll bring up the second baseman, Brian Haar. Haar entered today hitting .237, 9 home runs, and 27 RBIs. Drove in another run in Game 1 of this doubleheader, so now has 28 RBIs on the season. 2 outs here in the bottom of the first. No score between the Gateway Grizzlies and your Washington Wild Things. Here's the pitch from Smith, and Haar takes it for a strike. No balls and a strike. For Dakota Smith on the year, he has 2 strikeouts already today. And on the year, he has 25 strikeouts to 6 walks. This next pitch in there as well. and Brian Haar falling behind 0-2. Those 25 strikeouts coming in 25 innings of work, so averaging 1 strikeout per inning is Dakota Smith. He's set. Here's the 0-2 pitch. And Haar, a fly ball to right field. Brown coming in, and he will make the catch, and that is out number 3. 1-2-3 go the Wild Things here in the first, and after 1 inning of play, the score. Your Washington Wild Things nothing, Gateway Grizzlies nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. PALCS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. PALCS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to PALCS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School, lead, don't follow.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Game 2 of this doubleheader here in the top of the second. And the score, Gateway nothing, and your Washington Wild Things nothing. In the first inning for the Gateway Grizzlies, Cody Livesey started things off with a single. Then Seth Heck would strike out and Craig Masoni would ground out. Then with a runner at second and 2 outs, Brandon Thomas struck out. However, the ball got away from catcher Alex McKeon, and Thomas was able to reach before Blake Brown would hit into a 6-4 fielder's choice that would end the first inning. Due up here in the second, Ben Waldrop, John Bunselmeyer, and Jason Skoll facing off against starting pitcher Chase Cunningham. Trevor Foss, the complete game in Game 1. Cunningham looking to duplicate that effort here in Game 2. Every Friday night's a fireworks night at Consol Energy Park. Enjoy a spectacular fireworks display after all Friday Night Wild Things home games this season. Next fireworks night for your Washington Wild Things is this Friday, July 1st, when they take on the Florence Freedom in Game 1 of a 3-game series. Come out to that one. For tickets, go to WashingtonWildThings.com or call the box office at 866-456-WILD. Ben Waldrop making his way to the plate to start the top of inning number 2. Waldrop entered today hitting .198 with 2 home runs and 13 RBIs. Cunningham out there for the second inning of work. Just gave up 1 hit in that first inning, struck out 2, and got 2 ground outs in the inning. Cunningham looking into Alex McKeon, has his sign, here's his pitch. And Waldrop takes this one on the outside corner for a strike, no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count. First game only took an hour and 37 minutes to complete. See how Game 2 goes. Cunningham's 0-1, and this ball hit the left field and deep. Going back is Ferdinand, a couple steps in front of the track, and he'll make the catch, and that is out number 1. That ball looked like it had a lot more carry on it than it did, and it happened that Ferdinand did not have to move that much to make the catch. That'll bring up the third baseman, John Bunselmeyer. Bunselmeyer entered today hitting .321, 1 home run, and 2 RBIs. Bunselmeyer playing in game number 9 for the Gateway Grizzlies in Game 2 here. Cunningham set, here's the pitch, and Bunselmeyer takes a strike, no balls and a strike. For Chase Cunningham early on, we're seeing what we saw from Trevor Foss. He's getting out in front of these Gateway hitters, and he's getting them to swing at his pitches, the 0-1, and that's in the dirt. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count on John Bunselmeyer. Also played third base in Game 1 of this doubleheader. Wild Things winning that Game 1, 5-1. Cunningham's 1-1 pitch, and that one's high for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. The second man that Cunningham's been behind today was behind Cody Livesey 2-1 to start the game. Here's the 2-1, and that one swung on a miss. Count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count on Bunselmeyer. Bunselmeyer, one of the guys not on the Gateway Grizzlies team to start the season. Cunningham looking in, shakes his head at the first one, now likes the second one. Here's the 2-2. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Chase Cunningham also making a start against these Gateway Grizzlies in the first series of the year. As he's setting the pitch, this one grounded to third. Fink, a nice backhand, strong throw to first, and Uksa, a nice pick, and it's in time for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down here in the second, and Grant Fink waits for it, makes a nice backhand and a strong throw to first, and Logan Uxa completing the great play, making the pick at first for out number 2. That'll bring up the catcher, Jason Skoll. Skoll enters today hitting 125, no home runs, and 2 RBIs. 2 outs here in the top of the second as Chase Cunningham has retired the first 2 men here in the second inning, now facing Skoll. Skoll, the backup catcher for Gateway. Cunningham setting the pitch, and that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count on Jason Skoll as Tyler Toole caught the first game for Gateway. Cunningham's 1-0, and that one swung on a miss. Count goes even to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count on Jason Scholl. Scholl standing in there, 6'0", 210 from Northbrook, Illinois. Here's the 1-1. And a swing and a miss by Scholl, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Big swing there by Scholl. For Jason Scholl, playing in game number 9 of the season for him. Cunningham setting the 1-2. And that one's in the dirt and can't get Scholl to chase. Count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, 2 outs here in the top of the second. Game 2 of this doubleheader between your Washington Wild Things and the Gateway Grizzlies. Chase Cunningham looking in, has his sign. Here's the 2-2. And Scholl, a ground ball to first. Logan Uxa, a nice pick. He'll flip to Cunningham covering, and it's in time for out number 3. 1-2-3 go the Grizzlies here in the second inning, and after 1.5 the score. Your Washington Wild Things nothing, Gateway Grizzlies nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
You just never know how your day is going to go. The same holds true at Penn Station East Coast Subs. For some unsuspecting spuds, they start their day as Idaho potatoes, only to be transformed into hand-hewn fries. Unlucky for them, good for you. However, both your days get better because the fries get to sidle up next to a perfectly grilled Philly cheesesteak. Then, on their way to their final resting place, they get bathed in citric nectar, our signature lemonade. Wherever your day takes you, we recommend Penn Station be one of the stops.
We're back here on your MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Going to the bottom of the second in the score. Your Washington Wild Things nothing, and the Gateway Grizzlies nothing. Last inning, the Wild Things would go 1-2-3. Andrew Heck and Ricky Rodriguez both struck out, and Brian Haar flew out to end the first inning. Due up here in the second, Dave Popkins, Nick Ferdinand, and Logan Uxa, 4, 5, and 6, facing off against Dakota Smith. Smith in his third start has struck out the first 2 men he faced, and then got that fly out. A very efficient first inning for Dakota Smith as your Washington Wild Things try to get on the board here in the second. July 9th is going to be a special one at Consol Energy Park. It's Cicada Night. Word is the team's changing its name due to the influx of cicadas here in Washington County. There'll be a special jersey auction and more. Plus, there will be an ugly Christmas blanket giveaway to the first 1,000 fans. Get your tickets today for Cicada Night at Consol Energy Park. That's next Saturday, July 9th, as the Washington Wild Things will be taking on the Schaumburg Boomers at home here on that night. Dakota Smith finished up with his warm-up tosses, and Dave Popkins making his way to the plate. Popkins entered tonight hitting .287 with 4 home runs and 15 RBIs, currently tied for third on the team in home runs. Popkins and Rodriguez each sitting at 4. Dakota Smith looking in, has his sign. Here's the pitch to Popkins. And the first pitch is low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count. Ricky Rodriguez making Smith work to a 3-2 count last inning. But that is the only at bat that he's had to throw more than 3 pitches in. Here's the 1-0. And that one's a swing and a miss by Popkins. Count goes even to 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. In game 1 of this doubleheader, Wild Things were set 6 up, 6 down before getting on the board in the third. Smith set. Here's the pitch. And that one's on the inside corner for a strike. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count on Dave Popkins, sitting in that cleanup spot for your Wild Things. Smith has his sign. Here's the 1-2. And Popkins takes this one inside. Count goes even again at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count to Dave Popkins out there in right field. Has played in all but 1 game for the Wild Things. Smith setting the 2-2 pitch. And that one's outside. Count goes full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Second full count of the night for Dakota Smith. Here in game 2 of this doubleheader. Smith set. Here's the 3-2. And way inside, almost got Popkins. And that's ball 4. So Popkins will be on to lead off the bottom of the second for your Washington Wild Things. And that brings up the left fielder, Nick Ferdinand. Ferdinand hitting .289, a homer, and 11 RBIs coming into today's doubleheader. Runner at first, one man out for your Wild Things here in the bottom of the second as Dave Popkins reaches on the walk, and Ferdinand coming to the plate. For Ferdinand, 11 RBIs in his first 14 games as a Washington Wild Thing. Smith has his sign, checks first, and the pitch. Ferdinand takes a strike on the inside corner, no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Ferdinand almost exclusively in left field in his time with the Wild Things. One start in right field this season, and he's also had a start at DH. Smith's 0-1, and that one's low. Count goes even at a ball and a strike. 1-1 the count on Nick Ferdinand. One out here in the bottom of the second. No score between your Wild Things and the Gateway Grizzlies. Smith looks in, checks first, has his sign, he's set. And the 1-1. And a swing and a miss by Ferdinand. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count on the Wild Things left fielder. Wild Things trying to get some run support for Chase Cunningham. In his last 4 starts, Cunningham has only gotten 1 run of support, so he'd like to see some more runs on the board for him today. Throw over to first, and Dave Popkins gets back in there. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 man out here in the bottom of the second. As Dakota Smith looking in to Nick Ferdinand. Smith has his sign, he's set, now he'll step off as took 1 look over to first and didn't like what he saw. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 man out. Smith now has his sign. And the 1-2. And this one grounded to the right side. Base hit through the hole between first and second. So the first 2 men reach here for the Wild Things. That's the first hit on the day for your Washington Wild Things. And there's runners at first and second with nobody out. And that'll bring up the first baseman, Logan Uxa. Uxa entered today hitting .234 with a homer and 3 RBIs. Has the chance to give the Wild Things the lead here in Game 2 of this doubleheader between the Wild Things and the Grizzlies. Wild Things coming on top in Game 1 by a score of 5-1. Dakota Smith dealing with runners at first and second and nobody out here in the bottom of inning number 2. Smith looking in. Has his sign. He's set. Checks second, and here's the pitch to Uxa. And that was a called strike. No balls and a strike. Dave Popkins stands on second. He walked to lead off the inning, and then Nick Ferdinand singled to reach first base with nobody out. Smith has his sign. He's set. Checks Popkins in the 0-1. And that one's inside for a ball. Count goes even to 1-1 on Logan Uxa. Uxa did have a walk in his last game as he's really become more patient at the plate. 10 walks to 10 strikeouts coming into this one. Now 10 strikeouts to 11 walks. Dakota Smith going through the signs again with his catcher, Jason Scholl. Smith looking in. Has his sign. He's set. Checks second, the 1-1. And Uxa, a fly ball off to the left side and foul. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count on the Wild Things first baseman. Uxa also played first base in Game 1 of this doubleheader. Made a nice pick at first base to end the second inning. Also made a nice pick on the second out of the inning on a throw by Grant Fink. Dakota Smith looking into Jason Scholl. A long look in. Now has his sign. He's set. Checks second. And the 1-2. And that one's way inside to Uxa. Almost hit him in the legs. And the count goes even to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2. Nobody out here in the bottom of the second. Wild Things improved to 21-18 with the win in Game 1 of this doubleheader. Looking to sweep this doubleheader with Gateway and go to 22-18. Dakota Smith has his sign. He's set. Here's the 2-2. And Uxa pops this one up on the infield. Logan Davis a couple steps over. Now out in shallow left, and he'll make the catch. And that's out number 1. Uxa retired for the first out here in the bottom of the second. And that'll bring up the third baseman, Grant Fink. Fink enters today hitting .203, 3 home runs, and 11 RBIs. Did not start in Game 1 of this doubleheader. Getting the start out there at third base in Game 2 of this doubleheader. 2 on, 1 out for the Wild Things. Dave Popkins stands at second, and Nick Ferdinand stands at first with Grant Fink at the plate. Dakota Smith looking in. Smith has his sign. He's set. Checks second, the pitch. And Fink takes the first one at the letters for a strike. No balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count on Grant Fink. 1 out here in the bottom of the second. Smith looking in. Has his sign. He's set. And the 0-1 after a look to second. Here it comes. And Fink, ground ball right to second base. Heck does Davis for 1 on to first. And the throw's over the first baseman's head. Popkins coming to the plate. He will score on the E6. Wild Things take a 1-0 lead. It was a tailor-made double play. And E6 allows Grant Fink to reach Nick Ferdinand out at second. But Dave Popkins comes in. And your Wild Things take a 1-0 lead. A ground ball right to Seth Heck. He flipped to Logan Davis covering, and then Davis overshot Ben Waldrop at first base and allowed Popkins to come in. Wild Things take a 1-0 lead, and that'll bring up Alex McKeon, the catcher. Dakota Smith has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. Taking off for second is Fink. Here's the throw down, and Fink tries to avoid the tag, and he cannot as he's caught stealing to end the inning. But the Wild Things do get a run in the inning on 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left. And after 2, the score. Your Washington Wild Things 1, Gateway Grizzlies 0. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
When looking to replace your athletic field, choose ProGrass, first in turf. ProGrass has installed over 500 fields in the U.S. Getting the best artificial turf for your field depends upon both the product and the partner you choose. That's why architects, athletic directors, and players choose the ProGrass Performance System. ProGrass maintains an active presence in the field turf industry as members of the Sports Turf Management Association and the American Sports Builder Association, and is proud to be recognized as a FIFA preferred manufacturer. Call ProGrass today at 866-270-6003 or visit them on the web at www.progressturf.com. ProGrass, first in turf.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, heading to the top of the third in the score. Your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Gateway Grizzlies 0. Chase Cunningham retired the Grizzlies 1-2-3 back in inning number 2 as Ben Waldrop flew out, John Bunselmeyer grounded out, and Jason Scholl grounded out to end that second inning. Due up here in the third, Logan Davis, Cody Livesey, and Seth Heck 9-1 and 2 facing off against Chase Cunningham. Cunningham has made a start against these Gateway Grizzlies earlier this season, because it was his first start of the year, second game of the year, or third game of the year, as he went 5 innings, gave up 4 runs, all earned on 6 hits, no walks, and 1 strikeout. That was in his first game of the year. The only game for Cunningham that he allowed more than 3 earned runs in a ball game this season. So Cunningham's been very good for the Washington Wild Things in the starting rotation. Has not gotten much run support, but has made the best out of a bad situation. As he's throwing his warm-up tosses here to begin the top of the third. As Alex McKeon makes the throw down, and we're ready for baseball. Logan Davis making his way to the plate. Davis entered today hitting 280 with 1 home run and 14 RBIs. Steps in to lead off here in the top of the third. In game 1, Davis was hitting in the number 9 spot. Again, hitting in the number 9 spot here in game 2 against Chase Cunningham. Cunningham looking in, has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Davis takes a strike, no balls and 1 strike. Cunningham's been working ahead all night. He's only been behind 1 batter to start an at-bat of the first 8 he's seen. Here's the 0-1. Bunting is Davis, but this one will roll foul off to the left, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here on Logan Davis. Played short in the last game, in game 1 of the doubleheader. Back out there at short here for game 2. Wild Things won game 1 of the doubleheader by the score of 5-1, and currently lead game 2 1-0. Here's the 0-2, and that one's outside for a ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count. Cunningham 2 strikeouts today through his first 2 innings of work. Has his sign. Here's the 1-2. And this one lines softly to short. Austin Wolbrock back a couple steps, and he'll make the catch. And that's out number 1 here in the top of the third. That'll bring up the leadoff man, Cody Livesey. Livesey singled and made it to third his first time as he was stranded at third base. In game 1 of the doubleheader was 1 for 3 with a single and 2 groundouts. Stepping in here, leadoff man again for the Gateway Grizzlies. Chase Cunningham on the hill has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Livesey takes a strike, no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count on the left fielder for the Gateway Grizzlies. Cunningham has his sign. Here's the 0-1. And Livesey fouls this one off into the seats. Count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count on Livesey, the left fielder. Your Wild Things came into today currently 3rd place in the Frontier League East standings with a record of 20-18, winning game 1. The 0-2 and a swing and a foul ball as it hit off home plate first, and the count remains 0-2. They entered today with a record of 20-18 and 3rd place in the Frontier League East. The Joliet Slammers jumped in front of the Windy City Thunderbolts last night for 1st place in the Frontier League East. The Thunderbolts currently sit in 2nd. Cunningham set. Here's the 0-2. And this one grounded past the glove of Cunningham. Charging is hard. He has a jump throw to first. And it's in time to get Cody Livesey. What a play by Brian Hart. Charging, making a jump throw across his body. And it was in time to get Livesey for out number 2. That'll bring up the second baseman, Seth Heck. Heck 0 for 1 in this one. Struck out in the first inning. And in that first game was 0 for 3. Hit into a double play, grounded out, and struck out in that contest. 2 outs here in the top of the 3rd. Wild Things lead at 1-0 over the Grizzlies. Cunningham has his sign, the pitch, and Heck bunting. McKeon gets it, throwing to first, and it's in time for out number 3. 2-1 on the putout, and 1-2-3 go the Gateway Grizzlies here in the 3rd. After 2.5, the score, your Washington Wild Things 1, Gateway Grizzlies 0. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Come out to Consol Energy Park throughout the entire 2016 season to support Andrew Heck, Jamal Austin, Dave Hopkins, and the rest of your 2016 Washington Wild Things. The 6-game homestand continues this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, July 1st through the 3rd, when the Wild Things play a 3-game series with the Florence Freedom. It all starts on July 1st, a 7:05 first pitch for Game 1 of the series, and a fantastic fireworks display following the game. So watch a good game and stick around for some fireworks afterwards. Then the series continues Saturday at 7:05 when the first 1,000 fans get a pair of sunglasses presented by Mylan. The series will conclude Sunday, July 3rd at 5:05 p.m. when it's a Kids Sunday. All kids get to run the bases after the game. Come out to Consol Energy Park all season. For tickets, go to www.washingtonwildthings.com or call the box office at 866-456-WILD. Washington Wild Things Baseball, let's get wild.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball into the bottom of the 3rd, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Gateway Grizzlies 0. Last inning, the Wild Things got on the board. Dave Popkins walked to start things. Then Nick Ferdinand singled. Logan Uxa popped out to short. Grant Fink reached on an error. It was a tailor-made double play. Seth Heck flipped to Logan Davis at second, and Davis overthrew Ben Waldrop at first base and allowed Dave Popkins to score to give the Wild Things a 1-0 lead. Then Fink would be thrown out trying to steal second to end the 2nd inning. Due up here in the 3rd, Alex McKeon, Austin Wolbrock, and Andrew Heck, 8, 9, and 1, facing off against Dakota Smith. McKeon was at the plate when Grant Fink got thrown out to end the 2nd. Smith has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And McKeon takes a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things catcher. Kyle Pollock got the start in Game 1. Alex McKeon out here for Game 2. Smith set in the 0-1. And McKeon grounds this ball to the right side. Waldrop makes the play. Flips to Smith covering. And it's in time for out number 1. 3-1 on the putout. And McKeon is retired. That'll bring up the shortstop, Austin Wolbrock. Wolbrock entered today hitting .206 with a homer and 7 RBIs, hitting in that number 9 spot in the Wild Things order once again. That's where he was in Game 1 of the doubleheader, and that's where he's been for most of the year. He started the year hitting in the number 2 hole, but has been moved down to the number 9 spot, and it seemed to work for the Wild Things. Smith set. Here's the pitch, and Wolbrock hits this one off to the left and foul. That'll go back into the pavilion area, and the count goes to 0-1. No balls and a strike. Dakota Smith, just 1 run so far. It wasn't earned, as Logan Davis's throwing error allowed it to come in. Smith has his sign. Here's the 0-1. And a swing and a miss by Wolbrock on a pitch that was above his letters. Count goes to 0-2. Smith getting the chase on the high fastball. No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out here in the bottom of inning number 3, and the Wild Things up 1-0. Smith set. Here's the 0-2. And that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count on Austin Wolbrock, the shortstop for your Wild Things. Smith has his sign. Here's the 1-2. And this ball lined foul off to the left into the pavilion area once again. And the count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. Second time Wolbrock's hit one over there. Wolbrock in his second year with the Wild Things stands in at 6'0", from Costa Mesa, California. Smith looking in, has his sign. Here's the 1-2 pitch. And that one's inside. It hit off the leg pad of Jason Scholl. Took a weird ricochet as it bounced off the left-hand corner side of the backdrop and went out to the Progress side on the left side of home plate. But the count goes to 2-2. Smith set. Here's the 2-2. And Wolbrock, a late swing and a miss, and he strikes out. That's out number 2 here in the bottom of the third. Third strikeout of the day for Dakota Smith, and that brings up the center fielder, Andrew Heck. Heck 0 for 1 so far. Struck out in the first. Did not play in game 1 of this doubleheader. Jamal Austin was in center field, was the star of the game, as Austin went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. He singled twice and struck out. Andrew Heck, the center fielder for game 2, stepping in with 2 outs in the bottom of the third. Wild Things up 1-0. Here's the pitch. Heck fouls this one off to the screen, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Andrew Heck. As 2 pitchers duels here. The first game, a 5-1 Wild Things win. Trevor Foss putting on a pitching clinic on the mound. And so far, Chase Cunningham and Dakota Smith have each allowed 1 hit, and the Wild Things have a 1-0 lead. The 0-1, and that one's inside. Count goes even to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count on Andrew Heck here in the bottom of the third. Wild Things lead 1-0 from Consol Energy Park. Smith has his sign. He's set. Here's the 1-1. And Heck checks his swing, but it's a called strike anyways on the inside corner. The count goes to 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes, as we said. Dakota Smith, a strikeout an inning, averaging this year, coming in 25 strikeouts in 25 innings. Here's the 1-2. And that one's low for a ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. So far in 2 2/3 innings of work, Smith has 3 strikeouts on the day. 2-2 the count on Andrew Heck. Dakota Smith looking in, has his sign. He's set. Here's the 2-2. And Heck takes a called strike 3, and that will end the third inning. 1, 2, 3 go the Wild Things here in the third. And after 3 innings of play, the score, your Washington Wild Things 1, Gateway Grizzlies 0. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the fourth, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Gateway Grizzlies 0. Game 2 of a doubleheader between your Washington Wild Things and the Gateway Grizzlies. Wild Things winning game 1 of the doubleheader by the score of 5-1 and currently lead game 2 by the score of 1-0. Last inning, the Gateway Grizzlies retired 1-2-3 as Logan Davis popped out. Then Cody Livesey robbed of a base hit by Brian Harr on a nice charging jump throw. And then Seth Heck bunted and got out for out number 3. Due up here in the fourth for the Grizzlies, Craig Massoni, Brandon Thomas, and Blake Brown, 3, 4, and 5, facing off against Chase Cunningham. Craig Massoni making his way to the plate. And Massoni on the day, currently 0 for 1, grounded out in the first inning. And in game 1 of this series, played at first base and went 1 for 3, 2 strikeouts, a double, and a run scored. Stepping in here in the top of the fourth, nobody out with the Wild Things up 1-0 over the Gateway Grizzlies. Cunningham looking into Alex McKeon, has his sign. Here's the pitch. And that one's in there for a strike. No balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count here on Craig Massoni, the designated hitter here in game 2. Cunningham's 0-1. And that ball grounded to the left side. Diving stop by Grant Fink to his feet. The throw is in time. And Grant Fink has made 2 great plays over there at third base. A diving stop on that one, gets to his feet in time to make the out. And that'll bring up the center fielder, Brandon Thomas. Thomas 0 for 1. Struck out in the first inning, but was able to reach on a pass ball as Alex McKeon couldn't find it. And in game 1, Thomas 1 for 3 with an RBI, singled and struck out twice. Thomas bunting and tried to pull back, appeal down to the field umpire, and they say he didn't go around, and he pulled back in time. Count goes to 1-0. 1 ball, no strikes here on Brandon Thomas. Wild Things up 1-0. Cunningham setting the 1-0. That one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes as McKeon having to reach way outside into the other batter's box to make the catch. 2-0 the count. Cunningham set. Here's the pitch. And this ball hit the shallow right field. Out goes Brian Haar, and he'll make the catch. That's out number 2. Quickly 2 retired here in the 4th for Chase Cunningham, and that'll bring up the right fielder, Blake Brown. Brown 0 for 1 on the day, hitting to a fielder's choice in the first inning. Blake Brown in the first game ended up going 0 for 2, was robbed of a hit by Jamal Austin, grounded out, and walked in that one. Andrew Heck out there in center field this time. Jamal Austin kind enough to join us in between games. Here's Cunningham's pitch, and that one's a called strike, no balls and a strike. Like to thank Jamal Austin for coming on the pregame show with such short time between games. Cunningham has his sign. Here's the 0-1. And that one's a called strike at the knees. Count goes to 0-2. 2 strikeouts on the day for Cunningham so far through his first 3 2/3 innings of work. Looking for strikeout number 3 here in the 4th. As time is called behind the plate, Blake Brown was not quite ready. So Cunningham will step off, and now he'll step back on. Cunningham set. Here's the 0-2. And that one's outside. McKeon has to go in the dirt to block it, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count on Blake Brown. It's Brown stepping in. Currently leads the team with 8 home runs on the year. Here's the 1-2. And this ball to right field. Dave Popkins running over, and he'll make the catch. And that's in time for out number 3. Grizzlies go 1-2-3 again here in the 4th. And after 3.5 the score, your Washington Wild Things 1, Gateway Grizzlies 0. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise, we ensure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, bottom of the 4th, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Gateway Grizzlies 0. Game 2 of the doubleheader between your Wild Things and the Grizzlies. Wild Things winning game 1 by a score of 5-1 and currently lead this one by the score of 1-0. Last inning, Wild Things went 1-2-3. Alex McKeon grounded out, Austin Wobrock struck out, and Andrew Heck struck out to end the 3rd inning. Due up here in the 4th, Ricky Rodriguez, Brian Haar, and Dave Popkins, 2, 3, and 4 to face off against Dakota Smith. And Smith has retired the Wild Things 1-2-3 in 2 of his 3 innings of work. Just allowed the 1 run. It was unearned in the 2nd on a throwing error by shortstop Logan Davis. So as Dakota Smith finishes his warm-up tosses, Sundays are Kids Club days at Consol Energy Park. Children 12 and under can join the club for free. They get lots of perks, including a t-shirt, giveaway items, and free tickets to all Kids Club days. For more information, log on to WashingtonWildThings.com or call the box office at 866-456-WILD. As Ricky Rodriguez stepping in, Rodriguez 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Smith setting the pitch, and Rodriguez lines this one foul off to the right. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Ricky Rodriguez. As Sam Agnew-Whelan grabbing the ball out there. 0-1 the count on Rodriguez. Smith set. Here's the pitch. And that one's inside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Sam Agnew-Whelan throwing out in the Wild Things bullpen, but that could just be a bullpen session. Smith set. Here's the 1-1. And that one's low for a ball. 2 balls and a strike. Agnew Whelan's scheduled to start Saturday's game against the Florence Freedom. So he might just be getting some work in here. Smith set. Here's the 2-1. And this one lined foul off to the right side. Count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. With the way Chase Cunningham's pitching, you don't think the Wild Things would pull him here. He's just given up 1 hit through 4 innings of work, striking out 2. Smith looks in, has his sign. Here's the 2-2 to Rodriguez. And this one's fouled away as well, so the count will remain 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count. Rodriguez, the DH in this one, played third base in game 1 and went 0 for 3, struck out, grounded out, and reached base on an error. Here's the 2-2. And this ball grounded towards second. Seth Heck will wait on it. He has it, throw to first, and it's in time for out number 1 here in the bottom of the 4th. 4-3 the put out, and that'll bring up the second baseman, Brian Haar. Haar 0 for 1 in this one, flew out in inning number 1. In game 1, he was 0 for 2, grounded out in the first, struck out, and hit a sacrifice fly that made the score 5-1. It was his 28th RBI of the year. Leads the team in that category. He also leads the team in the home run department with 9. 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Wild Things lead 1-0 over the Gateway Grizzlies. Game 2 of this doubleheader. Wild Things won game 1 by a score of 5-1. Smith set. Here's the pitch. And a big swing and a miss by Haar. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things second baseman. Played second base in both games for the Washington Wild Things. Smith set. Here's the 0-1. And another swing and a miss by Haar, and a fastball up, and the count goes to 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes, 4 strikeouts on the day for Dakota Smith through 3 1/3. Smith has his sign. Here's the 0-2 pitch. And that one's a called strike 3 on Brian Haar at the letters. And Haar strikes out on 3 pitches, and that's out number 2 here in the bottom of the 4th. That'll bring up the right fielder, Dave Popkins. Popkins, no official at-bat yet as he walked and scored a run in the second. In game 1, Popkins was 2 for 3 with 2 doubles. He also grounded out and scored a run in that one. Here's the pitch, and a swing and a miss by Popkins. No balls and a strike. 5 strikeouts on the night by Dakota Smith. Has not faced the Washington Wild Things as a starter or a reliever so far this year. Smith set in the 0-1, and Popkins takes this one inside. Count goes even to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count on the Wild Things right fielder. Smith looking in, has his sign. Here's the 1-1. And another swing and a miss by Popkins, and the count goes to 1-2. 1 ball and 2 strikes here on Dave Popkins. Here's Smith's pitch, and that one's way inside, nearly got Popkins, and the count goes to 2-2. On the 3-2 pitch that walked Dave Popkins last time, Dakota Smith nearly hit him and almost hit him there. Smith set. Here's the 2-2, and that one's outside, ball 3. Another full count to Dave Popkins. 3-2, 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. Wild Things lead 1-0. Smith has his sign. He's set. Here's the 3-2, and a swing and a miss by Popkins and a ball in the dirt, and that is out number 3. Wild Things go 1-2-3 here in the 4th, and after 4 innings of play, the score, your Washington Wild Things 1, Gateway Grizzlies 0. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Going to the top of the 5th in the score, your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Gateway Grizzlies 0. Chase Cunningham has been very good on the mound in Game 2 here. He has retired 10 straight Gateway Grizzlies here going into the top of the 5th. Hasn't allowed a base runner since the strikeout of Brandon Thomas. Thomas reached on a pass ball, and Cody Livesey singled. The only 2 base runners that Cunningham has allowed. Craig Masoni grounded out, Brandon Thomas popped out, and Blake Brown flew out to end the fourth. Due up here in the fifth, Ben Waldrop, John Bunselmeyer, and Jason Scholl, the 6, 7, and 8 hitters against Chase Cunningham. Come out in the weekend series against the Florence Freedom. A couple of great giveaways. Friday night, July 1st, is the fireworks night after a 7:05 first pitch. Then on Saturday, also a 7:05 first pitch. The first 1,000 fans get a pair of sunglasses brought to you by Mylan. And then in the Sunday game, July 3rd, it is a Kids Day. Kids get to run the bases after the game on Sunday, the 3-game series with the Florence Freedom. Right now, Wild Things lead 1-0 here in the top of the fifth. Game 2 of the doubleheader with the Gateway Grizzlies. And that will bring up the first baseman, Ben Waldrop. Waldrop 0 for 1 so far. Flew out in the second inning. Waldrop was the designated hitter in Game 1 of this doubleheader, and he went 0 for 3, grounded out twice, and hit into a double play. Cunningham set, here's the pitch, and Waldrop checks his swing and takes a pitch outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count on Ben Waldrop, playing first base for these Gateway Grizzlies here in Game 2. Cunningham's 1-0, and Waldrop fouls this one back to the screen. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count, and yeah, New Whelan was just getting some work in as he sat down here in the top of the fifth. 1 ball, 1 strike, nobody out. Ben Waldrop at the plate. Cunningham's 1-1, and Waldrop to center field. Andrew Heck going back on it, a couple steps in front of the track, now onto the track, and he makes the catch, and that is out number 1. 1 away for the Gateway Grizzlies here in the fifth, and that'll bring up the third baseman, John Bunselmeyer. Bunselmeyer 0 for 1 so far, grounded out in the second inning. Bunselmeyer in Game 1 of this doubleheader was 0 for 2, grounded out and flew out against Trevor Foss. A great start from Trevor Foss, got a complete game, his 6th complete game, and so far Chase Cunningham a very good start here in Game 2. The pitch, and that one's a called strike on the outside corner, no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Bunselmeyer. Cunningham has retired 11 straight Gateway Grizzlies. Cunningham's 0-1, and this one hit to center field as well. Andrew Heck a couple steps over, and he'll make the catch, and that's out number 2. 2 flyouts to center to start the inning here in the fifth, and that'll bring up the catcher, Jason Scholl. Scholl 0 for 1 so far, grounded out to second, and he did not play in Game 1 as Tyler Toole caught Game 1, and Toole went 1 for 3 in that contest. So Jason Scholl coming to the plate here as Tyler Toole caught the last game. The backup catcher catching this one. 2 outs, top of the fifth. Cunningham set, here's the pitch. And that one's low for a ball. 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count on the catcher, Jason Scholl. Behind the plate for Game 2. Cunningham set, here's the 1-0. And Cunningham takes this one low for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count on Jason Scholl. Cunningham falling behind here in the fifth. He has his sign. He's set. Here's the 2-0. And that one's in there for a strike. 2 balls and 1 strike. 2-1 the count here on Jason Scholl. Chase Cunningham has had 3 straight 1-2-3 innings. He has his sign. He's set. Here's the 2-1. And this ball hit foul off to the left. Count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cunningham's retired 12 straight Gateway Grizzlies. Currently a 2-2 count here on Jason Scholl. 2 outs here in the top of the fifth. Wild Things lead 1-0. Just 1 hit in this game for the Gateway Grizzlies. The leadoff single for Cody Livesey. Cunningham looks in, has his sign. Here's the 2-2. And this ball hit to the right center field gap. Going over is Heck and Popkins, and neither are going to make the catch as that one falls. Heck gets it. His throw into second is going to hold Jason Scholl at first with a single, and the throw back to first almost got Jason Scholl for the 3rd out, but Scholl able to scramble back in there. A very good throw from Andrew Heck, and that stops a string of 12 straight retired by Chase Cunningham. That'll bring up the shortstop, Logan Davis. Davis 0 for 1, popped out to short in the 3rd inning. Davis in Game 1 of the doubleheader, 1 for 2, doubled, stole a base, and flew out. Cunningham set, here's the pitch, and that one's in there for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Logan Davis. The runner at first, Jason Scholl, he singled with 2 outs. Cunningham set, checks first in the 0-1. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. 2 men out here in the top of the 5th. As Chase Cunningham trying to get out of this 5th inning. He has his sign. He's set the 1-1. And that one's inside. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count on Logan Davis. 1-0 Wild Things lead. A run on 1 hit for the Wild Things. Their only hit, the Nick Ferdinand single. They got their run on a throwing error. Cunningham set, and the 2-1. And this one lined foul back into the seats off to the left, and the count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, 2 men out here in the top of the 5th. And the number 9 hitter, Logan Davis, at the plate. Cunningham looking in, has his sign. He's set. Checks first in the 2-2. And this ball lined right at Logan Uxa at first base, and he makes the catch for out number 3. No runs on a hit, no errors, and a man left. And after 4.5 the score, your Washington Wild Things 1, Gateway Grizzlies nothing. Going to send you down for the 5th inning stretch here at Consol Energy Park in a 7-game doubleheader. Wild Things lead 1-0 here on the MSA Sports Network.
It's time to start thinking about the 2016 MSA Sports Kennywood All-Star Preseason Football Team. Make sure that your team's most outstanding players from last season are part of this year's ballot. Nominate them. All players who were active on the WPIAL District 7 and District 8 team rosters during the 2015-2016 seasons are eligible. In addition to nominating members of the offensive and defensive teams, we are also requesting nominations for our 2nd annual Perseverance and Courage Award. For more information, visit www.msasports.net.
We're back here in the bottom of inning number 5, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Gateway Grizzlies nothing. Last inning for the Wild Things, they went 1-2-3 against Dakota Smith because he got Ricky Rodriguez to ground out, then struck out Brian Harr and struck out Dave Popkins to end the inning. Due up for the Wild Things here in the 5th, Nick Ferdinand, Logan Uxa, and Grant Fink, the 5, 6, and 7 hitters for your Washington Wild Things. And in all but the 2nd inning, Dakota Smith has retired the Wild Things 1-2-3. That 2nd inning is when the Wild Things got their run on the throwing error by Logan Davis that allowed Popkins to come in, and that's the only run for the Wild Things. They're only hit a single by this man, Nick Ferdinand, as he steps in. Ferdinand 1 for 1 with that single, and in game 1 of this doubleheader, Ferdinand was 1 for 3 with a single and a run scored. He also flew out twice in that game. Smith looking in, has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Ferdinand takes way inside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count on Nick Ferdinand, a left fielder for your Wild Things. Smith has his sign. Here's the 1-0. And that one's in there for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Count even on Nick Ferdinand. 1 run, 1 hit for your Wild Things. No runs, 2 hits and an error for the Gateway Grizzlies. Smith set in the 1-1. And that one's way inside as well. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count on Nick Ferdinand, trying to get on to lead things off here in the 5th. Wild Things' only time they've had a base runner on is in the 2nd. Here's the 2-1. And Ferdinand, a drive to right field. Brown going back, and he'll make the catch. And that's out number 1 here in the bottom of the 5th. A line out for Nick Ferdinand, and that'll bring up the first baseman, Logan Uxa. Uxa 0 for 1, popped out in inning number 2. In game 1 of this doubleheader, Uxa was 1 for 2, singled, scored a run, grounded out, and also walked in game 1 of this doubleheader. Bottom of the 5th, Wild Things currently lead 1-0 in game 2. Dakota Smith set, here's the pitch. And Uxa fouls this one back, count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things first baseman. playing first base in both games. Jimmy Yezzo was the DH in game 1. Yezzo getting game 2 off here against Gateway. Smith set, here's the 0-1. Uxa takes this one low, and the count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. You're on the Wild Things first baseman, Uxa. Trying to get on here. Smith has his sign, the 1-1. And Uxa to left center field. Going back is Thomas in front of the track, and he'll make the catch for out number 2. A deep drive by Uxa, but unfortunately pulled in by Brandon Thomas out there in left center field, and that's out number 2. That'll bring up the third baseman, Grant Fink. Fink 0 for 1, reached on an error, and that error brought in the only run of the game for your Washington Wild Things to this point, as Dave Popkins came in to score. 1-0 Wild Things, 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th with Grant Fink at the plate. And right now, Dakota Smith has set down 8 straight Washington Wild Things. Here's the pitch, and Fink pops it up. Third base, Bunselmeyer now being called off by Davis, and Davis will make the catch. That is out number 3. 1-2-3 go the Wild Things here in the 5th. And after 5 innings of play, the score, Wild Things 1, Gateway Grizzlies nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. PALCS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. PALCS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to PALCS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School. Lead, don't follow.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the 6th, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Gateway Grizzlies nothing. Last inning for the Grizzlies, Ben Waldrop and John Bunselmeyer each flew out to center. Then Jason Scholl singled, and Logan Davis lined out to first to end the 5th inning. Due up here in the 6th, Cody Livesey, Seth Heck, and Craig Masoni, 1, 2, and 3, facing off against Chase Cunningham. And we thought Trevor Foss had a good start in game 1 of this doubleheader. Chase Cunningham has come out and outdone him through 5 innings of work. He has not given up a run, just 2 hits allowed. He has struck out 2 Gateway Grizzlies and has not walked a batter through 5 innings of work. A very good start by Chase Cunningham, but again, not getting much run support. He's forced to be perfect through the first 5 innings. He's just allowed those 2 hits, and he has not given up a run. His team with that slim 1-0 lead. He's been pitching a lot better than his 2-4 record suggests. He has a 3.07 ERA, which is very good, and he has currently 41 innings of work, which is good for third on this Washington Wild Things team. Will be second after tonight's start, as Matt Frauden is in second with 44 and a third, but Cunningham will jump him tonight. Second on the team in innings pitched, 18 strikeouts, just 10 walks in those 46 innings pitched so far this season. Cody Livesey making his way to the plate to lead off the 6th. Livesey 1 for 2 so far, singled in the first, and was robbed of a base hit on a ground ball to second. Brian Harr made a nice charging, jumping throw to retire him. So he's due up here in the 6th to lead things off. Wild Things leading 1-0 over the Gateway Grizzlies. Cunningham looks in, has his sign, the pitch. And that one's on the outside corner for a strike. No balls and a strike here to Livesey. Livesey out in left field for both games of this doubleheader for the Gateway Grizzlies. Cunningham set, here's the 0-1. And Livesey fouls this one back to the screen. Count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count on Livesey, owns one of the team's 2 hits. The other hit coming from Jason Scholl last inning. Cunningham set, here's the 0-2. And that one's in the dirt, blocked by McKeon, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, nobody out here in the top of inning number 6. Wild Things lead 1-0. Cunningham looking in, has his sign, here's the 1-2. And this ball lined right at Logan Uxa, and Uxa makes the catch for out number 1 here in the top of the 6th. 1 away, and that'll bring up the second baseman, Seth Heck. Heck 0 for 2 so far, struck out in the first, grounded out in the 3rd, and now up here in the 6th. Chase Cunningham rolling right along, get the line out to start things as he's back on the mound, ready to go. Cunningham has his sign. Here's the pitch. And that one's in there for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Seth Heck. And Trevor Foss went a complete 7 innings. Now see if Chase Cunningham can do the same. The 0-1, and this one's fouled back to the screen. Count goes to 0-2. Cunningham working ahead here of Seth Heck once again. No balls, 2 strikes, and 1 out here in the top of inning number 6 of a 7-inning game. Cunningham looking in, has his sign. Here's the 0-2. And this ball fouled away back into the seats. Count remains, no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here on Seth Heck. The first out of the inning came from Cody Livesey as he lined out to first base. Cunningham has his sign. Here's the 0-2. And that one's high for a ball. Can't get Heck to chase up in the zone, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, 1 man out, top of the 6th. Cunningham has his sign. Here's the pitch. And that one's in the dirt. So count goes even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count. Tried the pitch high to get Heck to chase and change his eye level in the dirt. And Heck's still laying off. Here's the 2-2. And it hits the knob of the bat for a foul ball. Or no, they say it hit him. They say it hit Seth Heck on the hand. From up here, you could hear like it hit wood. Seth Heck did go down. And he'll take his base at first. So I guess it got him on the hand. A hit by pitch for Chase Cunningham. And that gives the Gateway Grizzlies a base runner. That'll bring up the designated hitter, Craig Masoni. Masoni 0 for 2. Grounded out to third both times. And in game 1, grounded out to third both times. You heard it sounded like the ball hit the knob of the bat, but apparently it got part of Heck's hand and he gets on. Here's Cunningham's pitch. This one's fouled back to the screen. No balls and a strike. 1 out here in the top of the 6th. Wild Things leading 1-0. And Gateway has a runner on with 1 man out. Gateway has only had 1 runner in scoring position all day, and that was Cody Livesey back in the 1st. Cunningham looking in, checks first, has his sign. He's set. Throw over there, and Seth Heck gets back. 0-1 the count here on Craig Masoni, the designated hitter. Chase Cunningham looking in. Cunningham checks first, has his sign. He's set, and the 0-1 pitch. And this ball popped up. Left side, out goes Wobrock, in comes Ferdinand. Ferdinand will call him off, and he'll make the catch, and that is out number 2. 2 away here on the top of the 6th, and that'll bring up the center fielder, Brandon Thomas. Thomas 0 for 2 so far. Struck out but reached base on a pass ball and then popped out in the 4th inning. 2 outs, top of the 6th. Wild Things lead 1-0. There is action in the Wild Things bullpen as Zach Grote's warming out there, the closer for your Wild Things. Runner at first and 2 men out here in the top of the 6th. Cunningham, quick throw over to first, and Seth Heck gets back. For Heck over there at first base. Currently has 2 stolen bases in 36 games played. Cunningham has his sign, the pitch, and this one fouled off the mask of Alex McKeon, and the count goes to 0-1. No balls, 1 strike on Brandon Thomas, the number 4 hitter in this Gateway order. No runs on just 2 hits for Chase Cunningham, and he struck out 2 through his first 5 2/3. Cunningham has his sign, throw over to first, and Heck again back in there. 0-1 the count on Brandon Thomas. Seth Heck stands at first base. He was hit by a pitch with 1 away. Cunningham's 0-1, and this ball grounded softly to the right side. Uxa has it. He'll take it to the bag himself, and that is out number 3. No runs, no hits, no errors, and a man left after the hit by pitch. And after 5.5 the score, your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Gateway Grizzlies 0. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Come out to Consol Energy Park throughout the entire 2016 season to support Andrew Heck, Jamal Austin, Dave Hopkins, and the rest of your 2016 Washington Wild Things. The 6-game homestand continues this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, July 1st through the 3rd, when the Wild Things play a 3-game series with the Florence Freedom. It all starts on July 1st, a 7:05 first pitch for Game 1 of the series, and a fantastic fireworks display following the game. So watch a good game and stick around for some fireworks afterwards. Then the series continues Saturday at 7:05 when the first 1,000 fans get a pair of sunglasses presented by Mylan. The series will conclude Sunday, July 3rd at 5:05 p.m. when it's a Kids Sunday. All kids get to run the bases after the game. Come out to Consol Energy Park all season. For tickets, go to www.WashingtonWildThings.com or call the box office at 866-456-WILD. Washington Wild Things Baseball, let's get wild.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Going to the bottom of the 6th in the score. Your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Gateway Grizzlies nothing. Due up here in the bottom of the 6th, Alex McKeon, Austin Wobrock, and Andrew Heck, 8, 9, and 1. Taking on Dakota Smith out there for his 6th inning of work. He's set, here's the pitch. And McKeon checks his swing and takes a ball. 1 ball and no strikes. McKeon on the day 0 for 1 so far. Grounded out at inning number 3. Smith looking in, has his sign. Here's the 1-0. And a swing and a miss by McKeon. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count with nobody out here in the bottom of the 6th. Wild Things lead 1-0. 2 hits for the Grizzlies, 1 hit for your Wild Things. The 1-1. And this one popped up by McKeon. Foul territory off to the right. Scholl going over. And Scholl can't make the catch. It's off of his glove, and McKeon gets a second life as the count goes to 1-2. Scholl was camped underneath it, but unfortunately for the Gateway Grizzlies, cannot make the catch. And Alex McKeon gets new life here. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, nobody out. An error charged to Jason Scholl, the second error of the day for the Gateway Grizzlies. Smith looking in, has his sign. Here's the 1-2 pitch. And McKeon fouls this one away. Count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, nobody out. 8, 9, and 1 for the Wild Things. They're up 1-0 here, looking to add insurance in the bottom of inning number 6. Chase Cunningham has gone 6 scoreless so far. Smith has his sign. Here's the 1-2. And that one's high for a ball. Count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count on Alex McKeon. Zach Groats continues to warm up in the Wild Things bullpen. Smith looking in, has his sign. Here's the 2-2. And this ball ground to the third. Bunselmeyer has it. Throw across to first, and it's in time for out number 1. McKeon grounds off to lead off the bottom of the 6th, and that'll bring up the shortstop, Austin Wobrock. Wobrock 0 for 1 with a strikeout to this point. In game 1 of this doubleheader, Wobrock was 1 for 2, doubled and scored a run, and also grounded out. So Wobrock to the plate. If you're a hitter, this game, too, not a good one for you, as it's a very good pitcher's duel. Wild Things up 1-0. Smith set the pitch, and Wobrock, first pitch swinging, hits this one to shallow left. In comes Livesey, and he'll make the catch. That's out number 2. First 2 men retired here in the bottom of the 6th, and that'll bring up the center fielder, Andrew Heck. Heck in this one 0 for 2, 2 strikeouts on the day. As he's stepping in, he's the leadoff man playing center field. Jamal Austin was in center field for game 1, earned the star of the game as he went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. 2 outs, bottom of the 6th. Wild Things lead 1-0. Smith set. Here's the pitch. And Heck takes this one on the inside corner for a strike. No balls and 1 strike. 0-1 on the Wild Things center fielder. Facing off against Dakota Smith. Smith looking in. Here's the 0-1. And this one in the zone as well. Count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count on Andrew Heck. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. Wild Things up 1-0. Smith set. Here's the 0-2 pitch. And Heck fouls this one off. Back into the seats. Count stays. No balls and 2 strikes. 0-2. 2 men out. Bottom of the 6th. Wild Things 1 run on 1 hit. And the Gateway Grizzlies no runs on 2 hits. Smith set. Here's the 0-2 pitch. And that one in the dirt. Heck doesn't chase, and the count goes to 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. You'd like to see the Wild Things get at least 1 more insurance run. But with Zach Groats in the bullpen, he has been very good this year. in terms of not allowing people to score. The 1-2, swing and a miss by Heck, and that is out number 3. 1-2-3, go the Wild Things in the 6th. On to the top of the 7th. Wild Things looking to win it. They lead 1-0. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, top of the 7th, and your Wild Things lead 1-0. In for the save is right-handed pitcher Zach Groats. Enters this game with no record, 7 saves on the year, an 0.45 ERA, has appearing in game number 17, has thrown 20 innings of work, giving up just 1 run. It was earned on 12 hits, 4 walks, and 24 strikeouts for the right-hander, making a bid for the All-Star game here. The All-Star break, July 11th through the 14th. The All-Star ballots just came out today. A couple of your Wild Things on those ballots: Zach Groats, Trevor Foss, Brian Haar, Ricky Rodriguez, among the players on the ballot for your Washington Wild Things. That All-Star game will be played on July the 12th in Florence, Kentucky. As the Groats finished up with his warm-up tosses, the men he'll face here in the top of the 7th, Blake Brown, Ben Waldrop, and John Buntelmeyer, 5, 6, and 7 against the closer, Zach Groats. Wild Things have only scored 1 run today on the misfortune of an error for the Gateway Grizzlies. We'll see if Groats can hold this 1-run lead. Leading off is Blake Brown, the right fielder. Brown 0 for 2 as he hit no fielder's choice in the first and flew out in inning number 4. Now up here in the 7th. The Grizzlies have out-hit the Wild Things 2-1, but the Wild Things lead in the category that matters, the scoreboard. Groats on for the 9th, looking for his 8th save of the year. He has his sign. Here's the pitch. And the first pitch fouled away towards the Wild Things dugout. Count goes to 0-1. No balls and a strike on Blake Brown. Brown's played in right field for both games of this doubleheader. Wild Things won game 1 of the doubleheader by a score of 5-1, looking to sweep it here. Groats has his sign. Here's the 0-1. And that one's low for a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-1 the count on Blake Brown. Zach Groats in, looking for his 8th save of the year. Groats has his sign. Here's the 1-1. And that one's low as well. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count, a slim 1-run lead for the Washington Wild Things here in the 7th. Groats has his sign, the 2-1. And that one's outside for a ball. 3 balls and a strike to start this top of the 7th. Groats looking for his 8th save. Andrew Wick warming out in the Wild Things pen. Groats set. Here's the 3-1. Swing and a miss, and the count goes full to 3-2. 3 balls and 2 strikes on Blake Brown. A big hack by Brown, but he could not catch up to that fastball as Groats fires it in there. Groats looking in, has his sign. Here's the 3-2. And low for a ball. So a leadoff walk to Blake Brown to start the inning. Has a runner at first with nobody out, and that'll bring up the first baseman, Ben Waldrop. Waldrop 0 for 2 so far. Flew out in the 2nd, flew out in the 5th. And now up here in the top of the 7th. Runner on, nobody out. Wild Things up 1-0. Looking for the sweep of the doubleheader. Groats in, looking for his 8th save. Groats looks into McKeon. Has his sign. He set, checks first. Here's the pitch. And this pitch is low to Waldrop. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. Zach Groats standing in there. 6'2", 200 pounds. from Millbrae, California, product of the Houston Astros organization. Groats set. Here's the 1-0. That one's in there for a strike. Count goes to 1-1 strike. 1-1 the count on Ben Waldrop. Zach Groats, 7 saves on the year. No record, and 0.45 ERA. Groats set. And the 1-1. Swing and a miss. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count. Groats 24 strikeouts and 4 walks in 20 innings of work. So he is a very good strikeout pitcher out of the Wild Things bullpen. Groats looking in. Has his sign. He's set. And the 1-2 pitch. Way outside for a ball. Not going to get Waldrop to chase that one, and the count goes even at 2-2. Groats could be using that outside pitch to set up something inside, change the eye level of the batter. 2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out in the top of the 7th. Groats has his sign, he's set. And the 2-2. And this ball lined towards left center. Ferdinand coming on, he's not going to get it. It's a base hit. First 2-man reach here in the top of the 7th on Zach Groats, and there's runners at first and second with nobody out. And that'll bring up John Bunselmeyer, the third baseman. Groats, usually very reliable out of the Wild Things bullpen, has given up 2 base hits to start, and will have a pinch runner as Ben Waldrop will be taken out of the game. A pinch runner on at first base. Can't tell who that is right now from up here. As stepping in is John Bunselmeyer, the third baseman. Bunselmeyer 0 for 2. As that's Sam Fisher out there running at first base. So Sam Fisher in for Ben Waldrop. Groats has his sign. Here's the pitch. Bunselmeyer bunting, pulls back and takes the ball. 1 ball and no strikes on Bunselmeyer. Sam Fisher, the pinch runner, stands at first. And Blake Brown standing at second. Groats has his sign, he's set. Checks second to 1-0. Bunselmeyer again bunting, pulls back and takes a strike this time. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Men on first and second. Nobody out here in the top of the 7th. Wild Things lead 1-0. Groats looking in. Has his sign. He's set. And the 1-1. Bunselmeyer bunting again. Pulls away again and takes a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes. So Bunselmeyer trying to sacrifice bunt is pulled back on all 3 pitches and has a 1-2 count on him. 1 ball, 2 strikes, nobody out, top of the 7th. Wild Things lead by 1. Groats looking in. Has his sign. He's set. And the 1-2 pitch. After a look to second, here it comes. Swing and a miss. Zach Groats strikes him out, and that's out number 1 here in the top of the 7th. 1 away, and that'll bring up the catcher, Jason Scholl. Scholl 1 for 2, ground out and a single to this point on the day. 1 out, top of the 7th. Wild Things lead 1-0 over the Gateway Grizzlies. As Blake Brown stands on second, Sam Fisher over there at first base. Jason Scholl at the plate. Groats looking in. Has his sign, he's set. And the pitch. And a swing and a miss, no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Jason Scholl. As Zach Groats trying for his 8th save of the year. Groats looking in. To Alex McKeon, has his sign, he's set. Checks second, the 0-1. And that's inside, nearly hits Scholl. And the count goes to 1-1. Nice block by Alex McKeon behind the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jason Scholl at the plate. 1 out, runners at first and second. Groats looking to get out of this 7th inning with the save. The 1-1. Swinging a foul back to the screen, and the count goes to 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and 1 man out. Zach Groats striking out John Bunselmeyer after giving up a walk and a single. Sam Fisher stands over at first. Blake Brown at second. Groats has his sign. Looking in. The 1-2. Swinging a foul ball down the left side behind the Gateway bullpen. And the count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, Zach Groats having to work here in the 7th. Chase Cunningham, 6 scoreless innings on the mound, giving up just 2 hits and striking out 2 in those 6 innings of work. Groats trying to save it for him. He looks in, has his sign, he's set. And the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a ground ball to first. Uxa has it. It's going to have no play at any other place, so he flips for the easy out at first. Groats covering, and that's out number 2. 3-1 on the putout. Meanwhile, Brown moves up to third, and Sam Fisher moves up to second. That'll bring up Logan Davis, the last chance for the Gateway Grizzlies. 2 outs, Wild Things lead 1-0. As Blake Brown stands on third, Sam Fisher at second. Logan Davis at the plate. Groats looking for save number 8. Top of the 7th, Wild Things lead 1-0. Groats looks into McKeon. Has his sign, he's set. And the pitch. This ball fouled away into the seats. Count goes to 0-1. No balls and 1 strike. Groats 1 out away from his 8th save of the year. And the Wild Things 1 out away from sweeping this doubleheader. Groats looking in. Long look to McKeon. Still looking. Wants to go through signs. Has one he wants. He's set. Here's the 0-1. And that one's in there. Strike 2. Groats goes ahead. No balls, 2 strikes. The first 2 men reached to lead off this top of the 7th. As Blake Brown walked and Ben Waldrop singled. There's runners at second and third. 2 outs. An 0-2 count on Logan Davis. Groats has his sign. He's set. The 0-2. Swinging a ground ball past Grant Fink, and it's fair. Scoring is Brown. Sam Fisher comes around, and the Gateway Grizzlies take a 2-1 lead here in the top of inning number 7. A blown save for Zach Groats, a 2 RBI double for Logan Davis, and the Gateway Grizzlies now lead 2-1 over your Washington Wild Things. That'll bring Cody Livesey to the plate. A 2 RBI double for Logan Davis, and now the Wild Things find themselves down a run in the top of the 7th. That'll bring up the leadoff man, Cody Livesey. Livesey 1 for 3, singled in the first, grounded out in the third, and lined out in the 6th. The first blown save for Zach Groats. Grant Fink did all he could to keep that ball from going into left field, but just wasn't enough. Groats set, here's the pitch, and that one's outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here in the top of the 7th. Grizzlies now lead 2-1 after the 2 RBI double by Logan Davis. Groats looking in, has his sign, and the 1-0. After a look to second, here it comes. That one's in there for a strike. Count goes to 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-1 the count on Cody Livesey, the leadoff man. His 4th at-bat today, just 1 hit and 1 run for the Wild Things, 2 runs, 4 hits, and 2 errors for the Grizzlies. Groats has his sign, checks second, here's the 1-1. And this one grounded to short. Austin Wobrock has it, throw on to first, and it's in time for out number 3. But the damage is done as 2 runs score in the inning on 2 hits, no errors, and 1 man left on. Going to the bottom of the 7th in the score, Gateway 2, your Washington Wild Things 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
It's time to start thinking about the 2016 MSA Sports Kennywood All-Star Preseason Football Team. Make sure that your team's most outstanding players from last season are part of this year's ballot. Nominate them. All players who were active on the WPIAL District 7 and District 8 team rosters during the 2015-2016 seasons are eligible. In addition to nominating members of the offensive and defensive teams, we are also requesting nominations for our 2nd annual Perseverance and Courage Award. For more information, visit www.msasports.net.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the 7th, and the score, Gateway 2 and your Washington Wild Things 1. Wild Things had a 1-0 lead going to the top of the 7th. but couldn't hold it as they gave up a 2 RBI double to Logan Davis, and the Grizzlies now with a 2-1 lead. Dakota Smith back out there for the bottom of the 7th. He's been great today, just allowing the 1 run. It was unearned on the 1 hit. That was by Nick Ferdinand. The only run coming in this game on a throwing error by Logan Davis. The Wild Things looking to tie this game. 1 to tie, 2 to win, as Ricky Rodriguez, Brian Haar, and Dave Popkins will be tasked with getting your Wild Things on the board. Zach Groats, the blown save right now, and is on the hook for the loss if the Wild Things can't pull through. Ricky Rodriguez up. Rodriguez 0 for 2. Struck out in the first, grounded out in the 4th. Smith set. Here's the pitch. And Rodriguez checks his swing and takes high for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Bottom of the 7th, nobody out. Gateway up 2-1. Here in game 2 of this doubleheader, scored both runs with 2 outs in the top of the 7th. Here's the 1-0. Swing and a miss by Rodriguez, and the count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 7th. Chase Cunningham, 6 scoreless innings for the Wild Things, but then 2 runs come in the top of the 7th against Zach Groats. The 1-1. This one grounded to second. Seth Heck charging. Heck has it thrown to first, and it's in time for out number 1. Ricky Rodriguez set down to begin the bottom of the 7th, and that brings up the second baseman, Brian Haar. Haar 0 for 2 today. Flew out in the first and struck out in inning number 4, now up here in the 7th. 1 man away. There is action in the Gateway Grizzly bullpen, but Dakota Smith still on the mound looking for a complete game. Both starters for one starter went complete game. We'll see if Smith can do it here. Swing and a miss by Haar, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things second baseman. Smith looking in. Has his sign. Here's the 0-1. And Haar fouls this one back into the seats. Count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count. 1 man out, bottom of the 7th. Grizzlies up 2-1. 2-run, 4 hits, 2 errors for the Grizzlies. 1 run, 1 hit, and no errors for the Washington Wild Things. Smith looking in. Has his sign. The 0-2 pitch. Swinging a foul ball. As Haar gets it back to the screen, count remains 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes, and 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th. With the Grizzlies up 2-1, game 2 of this doubleheader. Wild Things won game 1, 5-1. Looking to come back here in game 2 after holding a 1-0 lead for most of the game. Here's the 0-2. And Haar pops it up. On the infield, Seth Heck going over. He'll call off the first baseman and make the catch. That is out number 2. As Brian Haar pops out, Wild Things down to their last chance. Dave Popkins coming to the plate. Popkins 0 for 1, walked and scored a run in the second and struck out in inning number 4. Here's the pitch from Smith. It's inside for a ball, 1 ball, no strikes. Popkins tied for 3rd on the team in home runs with 4. Has 15 RBIs. Smith set. Here's the 1-0. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 2-0 on Dave Popkins. 2 balls, no strikes, 2 outs, bottom of the 7th. Wild Things trying to come back and win in walk-off fashion. Here's the 2-0. And a big swing and a miss by Popkins there. The count goes to 2-1. 2 balls and 1 strike. Popkins was looking for the right field wall with that swing. 2-1 the count, 2 outs. Smith set. Here's the 2-1. Swing and a miss by Popkins. Count goes even at 2-2. Wild Things down to their last strike. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. Smith set. And the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Popkins strikes out, and this game is over. Final score, Gateway 2 and your Washington Wild Things 1. We'll be right back here on the MSA Sports Network. You're coming up next, the Washington Wild Things postgame show right here on the MSA Sports Network.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. PALCS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. PALCS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to PALCS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School. follow.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Final score in Game 2 of the doubleheader. The Gateway Grizzlies take it 2-1. A heartbreak loss for the Wild Things as they were winning 1-0 for most of the game, and then a 2 RBI double by Logan Davis ended their lead, made it 2-1 Grizzlies in the top of the 7th, and then the Wild Things would lose by that score here in Game 2. The complete game for Dakota Smith. Smith went 7 innings of work, striking out 8 and walking 1, just giving up 1 hit, allowing 1 run that was not earned in 7 innings of work against your Washington Wild Things. Scoring recap, not much of the scoring department as the Wild Things retired 1-2-3 in the first. Then in the second inning, the Wild Things would get on the board. Dave Popkins would walk to start things. Then Nick Ferdinand singled to put runners at first and second. Logan Uxa would pop out, and then Grant Fink would hit a routine double play ball to Seth Heck. Heck flipped to Davis, and Logan Davis overthrew first base, allowing Popkins to come in to score. The Wild Things would lead 1-0. Then Dakota Smith really just dominated the Wild Things. He set down 15 straight Washington Wild Things to end the game, as the Wild Things just got that 1 hit in the second inning and then nothing the rest of the game. They went 1-2-3 from there on out. Chase Cunningham had a very good start going for himself, as in the first he gave up a hit to Cody Livesey. Then Seth Heck struck out. Craig Masoni grounded out. Brandon Thomas struck out but would reach on a pass ball, and Blake Brown would hit into a fielder's choice. Then Cunningham went on a string where he retired 12 straight Gateway Grizzlies before giving up a single to Jason Scholl in the 5th. Logan Davis would line out to end that inning. Then in the 6th, Livesey lined out. Seth Heck was hit by a pitch. Craig Masoni flew out, and Brandon Thomas grounded out. The final line for Chase Cunningham went 6 innings of work, gave up 2 hits, no runs, no earned, no walks, and 2 strikeouts for the right-hander. He was lifted for Zach Groats in the top of the 7th. Groats looking for his 8th save of the year. Walked Blake Brown to start things, then gave up a single to Ben Waldrop. Waldrop would be replaced on first base by Sam Fisher as the pinch runner. Then John Bunselmeyer would strike out, so there were runners at first and second with 1 out, and Jason Scholl would ground out, moving runners to second and third with 2 away, and then the big blow. Logan Davis making up for his throwing error earlier in the game, a 2 RBI double that scored both Blake Brown and Sam Fisher and gave the Grizzlies a 2-1 lead. Cody Livesey would ground out to end that inning. Then in the bottom of the 7th, Wild Things tried to fight back. Ricky Rodriguez grounded out, Brian Haar popped out, and Dave Popkins struck out to end the game. Final score, Gateway 2 and the Washington Wild Things 1. The Wild Things earn a split of the doubleheader. They fall to 21-19 after the loss here, after splitting the doubleheader. And the Gateway Grizzlies go now to 20-21 after splitting the doubleheader with your Washington Wild Things. The rubber match of this 3-game series, however, tomorrow night, 7:05 first pitch, right here at Consol Energy Park. It'll wrap up a 3-game series. On the mound for your Washington Wild Things, will be Matt Frauden making the start tomorrow night. Tonight, Wild Things lose by the final score of 2-1. The loss goes to Zach Groats. He goes to 0-1, and the win goes to Dakota Smith. Dakota Smith improves to 2-1 on the year in the complete game victory. Final score in this one, Gateway 2, your Washington Wild Things 1, but they split the doubleheaders. The Wild Things won Game 1 by a score of 5-1. Be sure to come back tomorrow night, 7:05 first pitch, for Game 3 of this 3-game series. Your Wild Things star of the game tonight's got to go to Chase Cunningham. Even though he did not get a decision, he went 6 scoreless innings, just giving up the 2 hits, no walks, and 2 strikeouts. So Chase Cunningham pitched very well. Get your Wild Things star of the game. For the Gateway Grizzlies, though, however, Cunningham's start was no match for Dakota Smith. Smith, 7 innings, giving up just 1 run on 1 hit against the Wild Things, retiring 15 straight men to end that 7th inning. So the Gateway Grizzlies win 2-1. Game 3 tomorrow, 7:05 first pitch as Matt Frauden takes the hill for for your Washington Wild Things. But final score in Game 2 of the doubleheader, Grizzlies 2 and your Washington Wild Things 1. Have a good night, everybody.